up for listeners. This last half hour is pretty much riffing on some of the same topics we were talking about in the first one. So let's go. Well, that was a definitely really good podcast that went in a totally different direction than I expected. So that's
Did you
exciting.
think so? Because I was like, oh man, she probably wanted to hear more about sickness.
No, I think it's a good juxtaposition of perspectives.
I know. I was going to go
Podcast.
into all of the things. I was going to delve in really deep on the misdiagnoses with autoimmune diseases a lot. And I was like, but I have no concrete evidence, right? And it's like, there are doctors out there, and I can give you all the sources, not off the top of my head right now, because that brain fog that I got is awesome. But I can give you all the sources that you want, but it doesn't fit the narrative right now.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
I get that.
Like people's
Totally.
perspective on we have to have a source and we have to test for everything to know that we're not feeling good, and we need that not feeling good to have a name. And like,
yeah,
that's part of why I stopped doing all of this, is because I don't need to know that mold is the basis of my sicknesses, or Lyme disease plays into the mold that I lived in, or I have arthritis. Do you know what that tells me? My body's probably inflamed and it needs to calm down. Like, I need to start looking at this on like a bigger scale and being like, how can I reduce, what in my control can I reduce the inflammation in my body so that no matter what the diagnosis is, I am strong enough to get through it.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Like, believing in yourself and giving yourself the tools is definitely not the narrative, especially after 2020.
Wow. That's a rabbit hole to go down too, because I think it's, I have friends who are very adamant about vaccinations, and I have friends who are very adamant about no vaccinations, and like I'm definitely somewhere in the middle. And I think that our bodies are made to do incredible things, and sometimes they need assistance. But like, as many times as Declan has had a sinus infection and his doctor wants me to give him an antibiotic, I'm like, no, it's a sinus infection. It's going to take 3 extra days for it to go away.
Yeah.
I'm not giving him antibiotics. I'm just not going to do it.
Right.
Oops.
Yeah.
Until he needs it for something that's much more serious than a sinus infection. Because all I'm doing is building up a resistance in his immune system that he's going to become resistant to this drug, and then when he really needs it, it's not going to work. And then I have friends who are like, allergies, they have to take 4 allergy pills a day. I'm like, okay, or you could just get a cat and, breathe in pollen. And you know what? Some days are going to be bad, and eventually you're going to be fine. How about that?
Yeah.
But I mean, you do you. Everybody's different. You do you. But there's no, like you said, no magic pill is going to fix everyone.
But if we
or everything,
if we stick in this downward cycle of I'm always healing, I'm always broken, I'm always traumatized. Look at all the trauma I went through. Like, I need to be heard.
Yeah.
I am a victim.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I'm not gonna live that way anymore. I've been victimized by a tick. No. Do you see the difference? I'm a big ass human being that can get through this. Like, and so like the narrative, I feel like, is so big. And I learned it from my mom.
And I agree with that, because I feel like that's how I've been for a long time too. Like, oh, woe is me. And then something happened in my 30s and it gets like more progressive every year. I was like, I don't want to be a victim. I don't want to be traumatized. I don't want to. And you know what? I will listen to people. But if you're telling me the same trauma every time I see you, then that's a you problem. And I can't hear you anymore. I cannot listen to you, because you don't want to be helped, and you don't want to get better, and you don't want to get through it. You're choosing it. Are you choosing drama, or are you choosing life? Are you choosing prosperity, or are you choosing pain? Like, I can't help you. And I get it. Like, some people just need to get it off their chest and be done with it. But a lot of times that's not the case. A lot of times people want to, like what you're saying, like they're choosing to be in it and, you know, a victim of it. And, oh, someone's got to hear me because there's so much going on. It's like, there's always so much going on for all of us. Why is your crap more important than my crap? It's not.
Yeah.
So either you can choose to get out of it or choose a different response to it.
You can choose.
Or you cannot tell me about it.
You can choose to give it a name. And if you give it a name, no matter what it is, it will have more power.
Mm-hmm.
Like Lyme disease carries this very strong, powerful, you're sick, you're chronically ill, you're this, you know, mold is getting that very strong backbone of being like, you have mold in your system and mycotoxins, and you're this way because of this. But if you like, what is the root cause to all of that? You're stressed, you're tired, you're overworked, you're underpaid, and you're undernourished and overcaffeinated, probably. That's all of my problems.
I did have my water with Himalayan sea salt and honey and lemon this morning.
Ooh.
So I will drink all the caffeine. Lauren would be so proud of me.
Yeah. I mean, but it really comes down to, you know, like Adam told me, what is within your control during the day?
Mm-hmm.
And what are you overly stressing about during the day that is making you snappy at night when your kids need you the most?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and what's your perspective going into bedtime? Because I know for me, I'm like, oh, fuck, here comes this. You know, like, God, read another fucking book. Why can't you just fucking go to sleep?
Well, and then it's like you're almost like manifesting the negative too.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, this is gonna happen. Oh, that's gonna happen. That's my husband. I'm like, maybe it won't if you just let it go.
Yeah.
Let it go. You don't know. It could be great. You just don't know.
There was this guy, this like special guest for my life coach had like a special guest come up and teach us about breathing techniques, right? And I was like, so how do I give these tools to my 4-year-old? And he's like, he's like, in what perspective? I'm like, well, she's struggling with confidence. Like when I'm her security blanket. So if I drop her off at school, she'll hold on to my leg for 20 minutes and not let me go. And like, how do I, like, she's been going for almost a year now. Like, when is she going to feel comfortable just going into school? And she was like, well, what are you bringing to the table to make her uncomfortable? I was like,
hi, it's you. You're the problem. It's you.
He was like, are you stressing her out to get there? And I was like, oh, I need to stop being like, get the fuck out the door. We're late. You know what I mean? Because that's just perpetuating her insecurity of being there because now she's already walking in, stressed the fuck out. And I'm like, fine. I'm just going to breathe and let her raise her damn self.
Don't fall into the pond, kid. Don't touch. Hopefully she doesn't touch the hot stove. That's what the Scientologists do. They think that we're born with all the information that we need. Crazy stories.
But I mean, you know, what's your narrative? What's your narrative going into it? Am I chronically ill? Am I always healing because I'm broken?
Right.
Or am I just growing?
I think Serena Williams said it best when she went to like retire, but she didn't like say she's retiring. She's like, I'm evolving away from tennis.
Yeah.
And I think that's such an eloquent way to put it in life because it's a constant evolution. If you really are paying attention to the world around you, you're constantly evolving. So I think that in motherhood and in parenting, there's a constant evolution if you're paying attention to the lessons that you're given. I'm a firm believer, like you will get the same lesson a million times until you master it. So like if you're in a toxic, if you're in toxic relationship after toxic relationship, well, the common denominator is you. Why are you choosing that? If you're picking people who are bad for you in your life, whether it's friends or romantic partners, you're the common denominator, and you'll keep getting that hurdle until you can actually cross that hurdle and identify it and walk away and have that growth and have that maturity, whatever it is. So I think parenting is no different. Your child's going to be a pain in the ass until you figure out a way to recognize them and what they need. Because at a certain point in time, as much as we want to put ourselves first, it's about our kids. And it's just, they're like, and that's the thing. It's like, if I know if I'm not well, my kid's not going to be well. Okay. So I play my tennis and I do my yoga and I go to the gym and all that stuff. But at a certain point in time, when he's crying at the end of the bed, who cares if I'm in a towel or not? I still have to be mom, and his needs go first. Mm-hmm. They take a precedence, right? It changes who's number one, moment to moment. 100% it does. Sometimes it's the fucking dog because he shits all over the carpet. What are you gonna do? That's life, right?
Yeah.
So I think that at a certain point in time, you gotta just like know that it's a constant evolution, and as soon as you get through that one stage, you're getting to the next stage, and you're constantly evolving your parenting.
And I think that men don't fully evolve and they stay in a selfish state, and that's why they can't wipe the crumbs off the fucking counter, or like
my husband's gonna hate this podcast.
Well,
sorry, babe, love you. Actually, I'm not sorry. Clean up the damn crumbs.
I mean, Dave will get up in the middle of the night with the kid. Like, I'll wake him up and be like, hey, Frankie needs you or whatever. And he'll say, okay, I got to go pee first. I don't get to go pee before I tend to the kids. Like, we as moms, we put all of our needs aside 100% of the time, every time. And his first thought is, oh, I'll be holding him for at least like an hour or two, and I'll get the sensation that I have to pee, and I don't want to re-wake him up. So I'm going to go pee first, and then I'll grab him. And I'm like, he's crying. You don't get that 30 seconds, even if you don't sit down. It's like men don't evolve as fast as we do because they are... They still get a little bit of their selfishness. They don't share their body with a human. They don't create the food, And
mm-hmm.
so they'll no matter what we do to bicker, nag, pick fights, try to explain it, do any of the things, they'll never fully get it.
Yeah. I don't think they're supposed to either.
No.
I also heard this thing, and I don't remember where it was or who. Maybe we were talking in our group, but about the purpose of a grandma and how in other species, like the grandparent organism will pass away, but in humans, like once you go through like menopause or whatever, your grandparents you still have the need for them. Was that with you guys? Was that us talking about it? I don't know, but because in the human race, it was supposed to be like more like tribal, more communal, and to have that connectivity of help, and we've like gotten away from that. But we're like one of the only species where the elders still exist after they can't reproduce, and the point of it is to build like community and have a camaraderie. At least that's what I guess like anthropologists have discovered or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know the article that this was in, but someone was explaining it to me, and I thought that's really poignant. Like they're there to support you. They're supposed to be there to support you. And I don't necessarily know if like men are supposed to understand the nuances of what it is to be the maternal caregiver. I don't know if they're supposed to understand that.
They're not.
I wish they did.
I mean,
wish they did.
Yeah, I mean, we could get into so many crazy things. Like, are we supposed?
That's another topic for another day.
Yeah, like, are we supposed to know what it means to take care of a whole household, like as a provider? And
Right.
here's, my sister is a perfect example. She's a single mom, so she carries all the hats, right? And like she's the mom,
Right.
she's the dad, she's everything. Or my brother who his his girlfriend passed away. Like, yeah, they carry everything, but was it designed that way?
Right.
Like
I don't
where's
think
the
it was designed that
partnership
way.
supposed to show up where it's like they provide but this is my argument to Dave is like just because you provide a roof over over our heads doesn't mean you show up emotionally.
Right.
Like that's the bare minimum. So,
Yeah.
or
I
that.
think, but I think like from an evolutionary standpoint, though, um, guys default to what they can do and what they should do, which is being like the hunter, you know? And so they go out and they do the work and they make the money. They bring home the bacon, right? They bring home the food, they bring home the kill. And even though we have progressed, like we both sides have those animal instincts where we nurture, we care, and guys still just provide, and sometimes that's all they can do because that they don't know how to do anything else. So it's really frustrating
But is that an
in my
excuse?
perspective. That's a really good question.
Because I had that conversation with Dave on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, where he's like, I'm just preoccupied right now. I can't go down the same healing journey that you're going down because I'm preoccupied. And I'm like, you're putting a career ahead of the future of your family and children.
Right.
What is so important on your preoccupation, which I understand, you're away, you're at the academy, you're trying to, start this new career, but that job is not going to get any easier. You're going to see more
Right.
despair, you're going to see worse. And so if you don't address the fact that you're emotionally unavailable to your family now, it's just going to
Right.
manifest worse, which is where I stood up and said, step up or step out, because I'm trying to instill this into the family of your emotions matter, you matter, your moment matters. And yet,
Mm-hmm.
when it comes down to, oh, she's throwing a fit, what do I do? You're asking me because you're not emotionally in touch with yourself to respond to a 4-year-old's temper tantrum. Give her a
Right.
fucking hug. And it's like it's not my job necessarily to like it's definitely my job to help guide you there for sure as your partner,
Right.
but it's not my job to walk the path for you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. We're all on our own path and we can be side by side. Sometimes we're a few pages ahead or a few pages behind, but it's where you find that catch up. And but I think that's where the delicate balance again comes in, is because is it an excuse or is it a learned behavior? Like, so just like
Oh
what we've been
yeah.
talking about the whole time, like how much of what is what?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's definitely both. It's what you are biologically engineered to do through centuries of, human relationships. But we live in a way different society than when Homo sapiens were first suspected to be alive. So have you evolved to be the person you need to be in this environment?
Right.
And that requires emotional intelligence. Like,
Yeah.
and I think it's harder for some men to get there than others, for sure. Absolutely.
And it's like
It's also
my
easier to do what you know.
yeah. I mean, I asked him, I was like, have you ever had a conversation with your dad or your mom about your spiritual journey, your relationship with God, your
Mm,
dreams, your hopes, your aspirations, your failures, your wins, who you are as a
yeah.
person? And he was like, no. I was like, do you know those things about your parents? And he was like, no. And I was like, and do you want to be 30 something years old and Harley say, I have no idea who my dad is? Because that's what you're
Yeah.
choosing. At this point,
Yeah.
it's brought to your attention and you are choosing to stay there. And I
Mm-hmm.
understand it's because of lack of one, maturity, and two, it's complete ignorance of how to get there. But I've stopped and asked for help multiple ways and multiple times. And that's why I was like, hey guys, I don't want to falter into, writing up dreams for the beginning of the year. Can we do an accountability call? Or
Right.
I was like, I reached out to friends, even if they're not
Mm-hmm.
around. I gave myself an hour or 2 hours and sat down and was like, what are you doing? Can I help you get there? Okay. What are you
Right.
doing? And it was like, because we can sit there and once again be the victim and give something else the power,
Right. Absolutely.
or we can take our own.
Absolutely.
Because I'm here
Yeah.
to take my own.
Well, I think that's a good point. It's like everything. Declan and I talk every day about our mantra. I'm capable. I am kind. I am brave. I am smart. I am strong. I am peaceful. I am graceful. I am. What's the other one?
Mine's
I forget.
but that's a whole.
Well, she's like the power of words. So every day we go through and we say, and it's like, what are you going to choose to be? Oh, I'm going to choose to be Bongia. I don't even know. I think it's supposed to be something else, but that's what he interpreted as. And so we go through this mantra every day. It's just as much for me as it is for him.
Yeah.
No one told me about the mantra and like power of words, and that's what we do every day. What are you going to choose to be out of this? Pick two to focus on in case you get into a tough spot at school. What are you going to be? How are you going to choose to approach life, your situations every day? And so even though he doesn't really understand what I'm saying, like on a deeper level, like by the time he's like, 7, 8, 9, he's going to understand, oh, I had a tough day at school and I chose to be peaceful, mommy.
Yeah.
Somebody was mean to me. Somebody was bullying me for wearing a dress. Like chose to be peaceful. I used my words, mommy.
Yeah. I give
That's what we do.
Carly affirmations every night at bedtime, and I tell her, she makes the world a better place, and she makes my world a better place just by existing.
Aww.
And I think that that's really powerful in a time of cyberbullying, and it's really big
Oh, yeah.
on, preparing her to go through those hormone changes where you get super insecure and weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, just remember that you matter.
Yeah. You
So,
make someone's life better.
those words.
Absolutely.
Well, this was a good one.
Well, we've definitely covered a lot of stuff. So on that note,
Yeah.
I'm going to get more coffee. I'm the mom who knows not, and my name is Brianna. This has been Megan. You can find her at Tallow and Honey, and we hope y'all are fucking evolving in parenthood and learning all the things you didn't know you needed to know. Maybe I might spike my coffee now.